The 2024 Duncan Women's Beanpot was an unforgettable experience for the Northeastern women's hockey program, thanks to a thrilling overtime victory over Boston University in the championship game. With the second week played in front of a record crowd at TD Garden for the first time in the tournament's history, the 2024 Women's Beanpot marked a historic moment for women's sports in Boston.
You know, the conversations regarding the Women's Beanpot, coming to the Boston Garden took place while I was still coaching the men's team. And the Garden has been tremendous partners, and the four schools have all worked well together, then partnering with the Garden. So it was a real true partnership, in getting the opportunity for all four teams to play in the Garden.
I remember how excited everyone was for that day. I think leading up to it, Beanpot hockey, everyone's so psyched. And then, this was round one. No one wants to play the first ever consolation game in TD, so we were excited to bring our A game. And personally, I'd never played Harvard, so I was pretty excited to play a new team.
It was definitely a learning experience for the younger kids on the team, getting their wheels under them and whatnot. So having that game at Harvard before the Garden in a Beanpot game was good. After the first two shifts, everyone was rolling, everyone was battling, we were getting pucks to the net. And I was so happy when Taze scored. Taze scoring on Harvard was a 10 out of 10 experience.
We felt like we played the most complete game we've played yet this year. So I think the girls were a little frustrated that only one went in the net. But we dominated in shots, we played really well defensively, and we were really happy to get out of there with a win.
I've played there before when I was younger, but there's something about watching the guys play at the Garden growing up. So now that it was our turn, that was just wow. I had the biggest smile on my face. I was so amped up, and I was like, wow, this is crazy that we have this opportunity now to play at the Garden and a level playing field with the guys.
Standing on the goal line, I remember looking over to Mia Langlois and being like, whoa, and she was like, whoa, there's nothing compared to it.
Just seeing all that, the Doghouse, all the support that we've had from younger girls teams, the Doghouse, Northeastern fans, it just was a really good feeling, and it kind of shows the growth of women's sport, especially with the new league.
For the first 5 minutes, I'm not even really watching the game. I'm crowd watching, right? And go, what an experience. And to see all the young girls in the building with their hockey jerseys, with their mums and their dads, teams in there with their coaches, the Northeastern crowd, the Northeastern contingent was just tremendous. And everyone played a role. It was just a tremendous night. And it was a grand slam. It wasn't a home run. It was a grand slam with Northeastern at the forefront.
It was physical in the first period. People were getting their feet underneath them and passes weren't crisp and all that. So there was definitely the time that it took us to all get adjusted. When I scored, it was a nice play from Abby, just keeping the puck in the zone. I got it, I turned in, and I looked up and I saw the opening in the net. And then all I remember was slamming into the boards after that, so.
It was just so special, and again, every time we touched the puck or we were on a rush or we made a big defensive stop, Gwen made a big save and the place just erupted every time. Our players fed off of that. They will never forget what they heard that night and what they saw that night.
We played a pretty good game all game. I just had a lot of faith in everyone. I think I just had this feeling that we were going to pull through, and never in my wildest dreams did I think we were going to do it that fast, or did I think Scurvy was going to get a goal that fast.
Now Northeastern, a rush the other way. Knoll skating in, looking for Irving. Irving dekes around, fires, and scores! Northeastern, 27 seconds in. Once again, it's Skylar Irving.
It was an historic event. It was an historic ending, and only fitting that Northeastern won. And I say that obviously with a little bias. And we've won 19 out of 45 Beanpots now. We were at the forefront of women's ice hockey with a few other schools. We were always leaders in women's ice hockey, and then to be afforded the opportunity to play in the Boston Garden, our women's student athletes in all the other three schools and their programs, and then to win it, it even is much more historical, right? It's much more eventful.
We won it last year, and winning it at BC, that was awesome. But winning it at the Garden, a place that I've watched games my whole life, and us being able to win it at the Garden for the first time ever. It's going to be a memory I look back on for the rest of my life and still can't even put into words.
I think this win's probably going to go down in the record books as one of my favorite wins. The Beanpot itself is such a cool tournament, but now that it's at the TD Garden, it just means that much more, and it's just that much cooler. And you know, I had one shot to do it. It's my 5th year, and my team managed to get that done. So I think it's just going to be something that I always hold on to.
I think that's honestly incredible for women's hockey in general, and just for the growth of women's sports. Being able to see a pro league now, I can be like, wow, I can see it, like I can be there someday. If you can see it, it can happen.